Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 8, I believe.
I think it is. Yep.
The game in Pubcast. I probably should know that, shouldn't I? I'm Martin, and I'm here with my co-host Duncan. How are you? How's your week been?
Evening. I am all good. All good. Excited because we're recording this on Thursday night,
Thursday night, yeah, a little bit
which is
later, but
Thursday the 31st of August, I should say. So 2023. And that means the reviews are out for a certain game.
yeah, a certain game called Starfield, and it's officially out on the 6th of September, isn't it? So I'm assuming that's when
Yes.
you'll be playing it on Game Pass. Yeah.
Well, I may have taken the dive because apparently Microsoft allow the Iceland store to be part of the EU and UK pool. So I may have brought the Iceland version of the premium upgrade. So I'll be playing it tomorrow.
Wow.
Yay!
Next podcast, and Duncan, you'll be able to give us your own views on it. But as you said, there has been some reviews that have come in. Pretty positive, most of all. I mean, on Metacritic, it's got 88. There were, I think you messaged me before to say there were a few that were like 7s and out of 10s.
Yeah, but
well,
I think the general consensus looks like it's a hit. It's quite contradictory that everything that people don't like in it, you've got people saying that they've tried to make it too big and a lot of it's empty. But then other people are saying they love it exploring all the planets. And then there's some people saying that the story is brilliant. And there's other people saying that story is probably the weakest part. There's other people saying that the gunplay is brilliant. And then there's other people saying that the gunplay is its weakest part. And so I really don't know what to make. But yes, as you said, everybody is loving it so far, except for a handful of.
yeah, I know one of them
people.
is IGN. Which gave it a 70. And I was just looking at the review there, which Starfield has a lot of forces working against it, but eventually the allure of its expansive role-playing quests and respectable combat make its gravitational pull difficult to resist. So that was IGN. But then IGN Japan, so that they gave that 70 out of 100. IGN Japan gave it 100 out of 100. So it just shows, even in the same company, depending on where you are in the world, someone gives it 70 out of 100, the other person gives it 100 out of 100. So, but
I think
yes,
one thing I've heard a few reviews saying is that it takes a while to get going. I don't know whether that's because a lot of things unlock suddenly after a certain time, whether it's quite linear for the first few hours, or whether just until you build your character up a bit, it's not as exciting. But that's probably the only consistent thing I can find on
yeah,
a lot of
and actually
reviews.
reading like some of the comments of people who's commented on the reviews, a lot of they were saying that people who have given it lowish reviews, or the reviewers who haven't had as much game or much hours as the others. So maybe there is a correlation there with the amount of someone's played it, the higher the review is, because it is a massive game, isn't it? I mean, there's over how many planets are on there, so I
I think
guess
it's
you're not
1,000
going.
planets, but there's less than 100 that have any kind of life on it. And I think it was pretty much accepted, and I think it is that you can't just land on a planet and walk all the way around and come up behind where you landed, kind of thing. I think you have to land in certain places, and you have a certain amount of the map that you can
Okay.
walk on. I think.
Yeah.
But I shall find out tomorrow.
You will be able to give your honest review.
Are you
And
are you thinking of maybe getting some cloud gaming for a month or something? See if you can
it's
jump in.
tempting, but I don't know what I would play it on if I use cloud game. I don't know if
Yes,
I'd
I mean
get.
it doesn't really. I can't imagine it playing on your phone or something would work well, but I think a lot of smart TVs now you can sideload on Fire Sticks, and I think things like Samsung TVs, LG TVs, you can play cloud gaming on. Most tablets and whatnot.
Maybe I'll explore the because I never really thought about doing it for my TV because I know cloud gaming. I just thought doing it for a console, which was the.
How is your internet in your part of the world?
It's not it's not too bad. It's not terrible. Where I used to live, and I only moved like a few miles down the road, I was able to get version, which I had like 500 megabytes per second, and now where I am, the quickest I can get is like 70 megabytes per second, which is a bit of a difference. But then it is a lot to do with coverage, though, isn't it? Like,
and you know, 70, it should be all right for stream cloud gaming. If you do want to jump in,
I will look into that possibility, so I can then give my review of it. Yeah, because apparently it's the 11th best PC game of 2023 according to Metacritic.
Microsoft have been very predictively restrictive on their special offers because they've completely got rid of the £1, $1, €1 trial. They initially put it down to 14 days for 30 days, and then now they've just got rid of it completely. So if you want to get Game Pass just for Starfield, I'm afraid you've got to pay for a full month. But equally, I've just added another year onto my Game Pass because they're still giving the ratio of 3 months to 2 on. So I bought some Xbox Live Gold cards. Obviously, check out if they are still doing this ratio or whatever, because but I think I got a year for about £30. Yeah, so if you buy 3 months of Xbox Live Gold, you get 2 months of Game Pass Ultimate. So
there you go. So I mean, I did have Game Pass when I had the Series S and the Series X, and it's it is my opinion the best service in terms of
I mean,
subscription service out there.
When you can get things like Starfield Day One, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's really good. And despite all the negativity from, I think, the minority of people, but very loud minority. Oh, Bethesda, this. Apparently, this is one of their least buggy games in a long time. So fingers crossed when I do play it, I'll be because I do forget to save in these kind of games quite a lot, and hopefully, I won't lose any through jankiness, any gameplay. But yeah, so I'm very looking forward to it. Very excited.
And I'm looking forward potentially to play it myself, but if not, to hear one from your review of it next time we catch up. So you've got a busy few days ahead of you.
Yes, because I'm still going through Baldur's Gate 3. I have actually. I don't know if I've got to Act 2. I've got to a different area where it warned me and said, "Make sure you've done everything." And then I went through that area, or I went into that area, and it said, before I went in this area, it said, "Make sure you've done all the jobs that you need to before you go into this area." And then it just lets you fast travel back to the previous area. So I've been clearing up a lot of things, but yeah, still doing Baldur's Gate 3, but I think I'm going to put Baldur's Gate 3 on the back burner to get Starfield out of the way. Well, out of the way.
Trying to do both of those games together would be a tall ask, because they're both pretty large games, aren't they? In terms of
if I could just imagine trying to review both of those at the same time. Because anybody that is a journalist for a magazine that has a PlayStation and Xbox games, and they get given both of those games to review, is gonna have a bad time because they're probably minimum of 100 hours each.
Yeah, I guess if you were doing that as a job, though, I wouldn't mind doing it as a job. If I didn't actually have to work full time, it would be difficult to do those two games. I grant them that, but on the whole, I think it is one of those jobs, isn't it? When you're like growing up, you think, oh,
I'd love to play games
wish
all
I could
day.
just play video games for a living. Yeah,
But
either
then,
like testing them or reviewing them or whatever. But I'm
oh,
sure,
well,
like, actually, if you're doing it all the time,
exactly, yeah. Actually doing, if you're testing a game and they say, right, you see this door, we want you to go in and out of this door 300 times. We want you to test,
yeah, make sure there's no
this one
bugs.
enemy that's just standing in this room. We want you to kill them 400 times. Make sure there's, you kill them in every single different, and then reviewing games for every, God of War or Starfield or Last of Us or, these classic games. You're going to have all the shovelware and whatnot that's thrown at your desk that you've got to review. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
like Saints Row, Gollum, that sort of game.
Indeed, yeah. Can you imagine? Oh, yes.
But like, yeah, I mean, I've tried creative games in the past. So when I had my gaming PC, I downloaded Epic Games, whatever, I can't remember what, Unreal Engine, number 5, I think it was. And it is very tedious because you got like, you just think in your head, oh, I'm going to make this game. And then you got every aspect of it, you've got to like consider. So when they hit a certain part of the map, when do they die? Because if not, they'll just fall forever. So you've got to like put like and where do they reappear? And it's just, I think I did it for about a couple of hours, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to make it as a game maker because I don't have like the patience of like.
Yeah,
So,
my
if you
stepson is making a game.
it.
Yeah, I think he's using Unity, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's the bit
but
more popular, that one.
Yeah, I started when he was starting up. I said, yeah, you've got to stick with this because he was coming to me and going, oh, I started another game. What about the old game? Oh, well, I didn't like that. And you've got to experiment. But he just didn't have the staying power originally. But now I think he's got a game which he said is nowhere near finished, but is playable. Because I've said to him, I said, I don't want to know. You just make a game, and if it's in any kind of playable state, even if it looks and doesn't fully work, then show me. Yeah, I'm not interested in seeing the programming side and all that kind of thing. So I've tried programming and I'm useless at it. So I'm just like, show me a game and I'll tell you what's good. But you have got to have a certain mindset, I think, for programming.
Yeah, no, definitely. And those who have like the career, either a reviewer or creating games or a tester, when they finish work, when I finish work, sometimes I'm like, oh, I just want to go and play a game for a few hours. Surely they probably wouldn't feel like that because it must feel like they're still working. So
Exactly,
I don't know what their downtime would be. So maybe it would take away actually the enjoyment of gaming if that was your job was just gaming. So
yeah, I did some music like
so much.
live music reviews the one time, and it meant I had to number one, stay sober or soberish. And you had to go and meet people so you could get set lists and whatnot. And so although it was great because you quite often got to go to VIP areas and all that kind of thing. Yeah, it was you felt like you had to be responsible, and it wasn't for me. I didn't do it much. I did it 2 or 3 kind of thing. I can imagine it's the same in the gaming journalism. It's like when I've had Minecraft YouTubers who are just like, oh no, I can't. I I have to play Minecraft all day, every day, and they don't really want to anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas, somebody who's got 3 subscribers and whatnot can just go, I fancy playing another game. If you don't like it, who cares?
Yeah. No, exactly. It's not their. They're like some people are making a living, is it, off that? They're YouTube channels, aren't they? So they got to keep it.
Yeah, exactly.
What people want to watch. If it's Minecraft, then it's Minecraft. So.
But speaking of Baldur's Gate 3 that I've been playing, have you watched any more Game of Thrones?
I have, yeah. So last time I spoke to you, I said I had the season finale coming up, which that was a lie. I realised I wasn't as far ahead in the season as I thought. So I thought there was only 8 episodes. Happened to be 10, so there was 3 more episodes. I have finished season 1 now. Now on season 2.
Was it a big cliffhanger at the end of season 1?
So yeah, to give you an update then of my Game of Thrones update of what's happened since I last spoke to you. King Robert died, so he was the king.
Spoilers, people.
His son, King Joffrey, was he thought was going to be the heir to the throne. However, Ned Stark, who was the King Robert's best friend, and he had like an official role, but I can't remember what that was.
Ned Stark was. Hang on, my limited knowledge, is that Sean Bean?
He was Sean Bean, yeah. Okay. Well, he is Sean Bean.
Oh yeah, he dies. No.
So he found out that Joffrey wasn't the actual king's son. So he was trying to make sure that the right heir to the throne would take over, which would have been King Robert's brother. I can't remember his name either, so I'm not doing very well in terms of remembering all this stuff. But then, because of that, King Joffrey then arrested Ned Stark for treason. Ned Stark ended up in like a prison, though Ned Stark's daughter was with Joffrey, so this was prearranged before this happened, that she was going to be Joffrey's queen. So she was able to get Joffrey to agree that not to kill her dad, and that so the agreement was if Ned Stark was to say, I made it all up, that there wasn't, you are the rightful heir to the throne, then we won't behead. Ned Stark did that. Joffrey went back on his word, beheaded Ned Stark.
And there's another thing that Sean Bean dies in.
Sean Bean dies, before season 1. Obviously, his daughter wasn't happy because she just saw her dad died. The mum of Joffrey wasn't happy, so she didn't want, but for different reason, because she didn't want the North, which is what Ned Stark was from. She was like, they're going to go to war with us, which they did, because his sons are now leading the North of Winterfell.
Oh, blimey. It sounds very confusing.
So Joffrey's mum had an affair with her own brother.
I remember that, because that was in the first episode, I think, wasn't it? It was the brother and sister, doing things.
Yeah, so that's who Joffrey's mum and dad is. So his uncle is his dad as well.
Was it filmed in Norfolk?
So yeah, I can't really comment on that part, but so Ned Stark knew. He wanted to obviously make sure the right heir, which was King Robert's brother. King Robert's brother now is aware of it, and he's got his own army, so he's trying to go to war with the Lannisters. You've got the Starks wanting to go to war, or they are at war with the Lannisters because of what happened with Ned Stark. You've also got Emilia Clarke. I can't remember her name either. Targaryen.
Daenerys. See, I know that one because
Daenerys. Yeah. So her husband died. She burned him, got him with it. Got in the fire, but because she's a dragon, she can survive the fire, and now she's got 3 little dragons with her. So
you could look up in the UK, I think, of how many children are called a certain thing, and apparently Daenerys is a name that's, I won't say popular because it isn't, but apparently there's quite a number of people who have called their child Daenerys, and I'm like, isn't that the one who just gets her boobs out all the time?
She did in season 1.
Well, there you go.
Season 2 hasn't happened.
Could you
yet.
imagine? Could you imagine that King Rogue gets to about 10 years old and says, "What hell am I named after?" Well, daughter, this is Daenerys, and then shows a picture of her with her bits hanging out. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
I can remember when I didn't watch Game of Thrones, I remember I did like sort of know about it, and I know like Emilia Clarke before Game of Thrones wasn't well known, and obviously she is quite a famous actress now. And that was after season 1, and then she once she had the clout, I think she said
She
after season 1,
renegotiated.
I'm not doing any nude scenes anymore. Obviously, they kind of didn't really they couldn't really get rid of her because she was one of the main characters. So I'm not expecting to see.
Although they're pretty
pretty
good at killing them off, though, aren't they?
Yeah, so I mean they got rid of Ned Stark and Sean Bean, who was like the main character in season 1. So not gonna get like attached to any.
It's set in stone, though, isn't it? If you cast Sean Bean, you have to kill him.
Yeah, I did read a story the other day that Sean Bean is refusing to die now in anything he's casted in because he's getting fed up.
Even in gaming, he was in Hitman 3 as one of the targets. One of the targets, the monthly. I can't remember what we called it now, but he was one of the very first ones, killed. And you got to kill Sean Bean, and yeah, so yeah, there was people were all over the world have killed Sean Bean over and over again, and they've never re-released that.
Yeah, just looking at some news stories about Sean Bean is killed off on the screen for the 25th time as the curse of his character's dying continues. So that was the last. So obviously he's hasn't been able to. Sean Bean fans furious as he's killed off on the screen for the 25th time. That was another story. So maybe he didn't get his demands of not being killed off in every single.
Oh, bless him.
But I guess it keeps it variety for him because then he can go off and do something else then because he's dead.
Exactly. It still gets paid. Yeah.
Did he die in Lord of the Rings?
Yes, he sacrificed himself and he got shot with arrows while protecting the hobbits. Hobbiters. Yeah. So yeah, he's just after he got tempted with the ring, he protected Frodo, and they shot him with arrows, and he did. But yeah, there's so many films and TV shows he's been in.
Did he die in Sharp? Because that's like what he got famous in, wasn't it?
Sharp. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I never watched all of them.
No, if you're not from the UK, I imagine most people wouldn't know what Sharp is. But it's
it was sort of 17th century soldier kind of thing, wasn't he? It's a period piece about like a soldier,
British Empire, wasn't it? Yeah. 1800s, I think it was.
1800. Okay.
Maybe like based on the Napoleon Wars, I think.
I can imagine he was probably close to death a number of times, but yeah, it was one of these TV shows where there's like 3 episodes, like a mini series, but there was about 10 of them, I think. But he got famous before that for showing his bits off because he was in Lady Chatterley's Lover, I think, which became famous in the 90s, I want to say, for its raunchy TV show, which probably nowadays would be absolutely nothing. But back in the 90s, I think early 90s, when it came out, it was scandalous. And I think you got to see all of him, and I mean all of him. Wow. But yeah, and Sharp. Yeah, so
my way.
I don't think he died in that one, but I think. Yeah.
There you go. And if anyone has seen all the Sharps, then do let us know if he if he does make out alive at the end of that, because I can't be bothered to go back and watch them all.
Probably about 30 or 40 hours worth of shows, yeah.
Well, I guess I would only have to watch the last episode if he's in it and he doesn't
there
die.
is that.
Then. But
back to gaming. So,
yeah.
what have you been playing recently? Have you been playing anything?
I mean, I've been playing that Toad game, which I mentioned last week, so I continue to do that.
I have got that ready and set up, but to play. But I'm afraid Baldur's Gate has been, and Pikmin 2 has been taking my time. But have you? How many kind of levels is it? Is it long? Is there like hundreds of levels, or is it? Are you near the end?
For you, Duncan, I think you'll probably get through it in about a week. Probably quicker than that because it's not a massive game, but it's enough to
keep
a good pick up and play. It is, yeah, and I'm enjoying it so far. So if you do give it a go, you'll enjoy it too. But let's get the other game as well, PGA Golf, because that came available last month. So
on PlayStation
really like
Plus.
Yeah, PlayStation Plus. So I used to really like the Tiger Woods games when I was younger. I haven't really played them for quite a while, so I
they went to they went from Tiger Woods to Rory McIlroy, didn't they? For I think one or two, and
yeah.
And is it sponsoring any other player, or is it just PGA?
Just PGA now, but Tiger Woods is on the front cover again, so obviously they've forgiven him for his
his indiscretions.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I been giving that a go, and it's quite good because it's you can play it online. My friend also has it, but you don't have to play at the same time, so he can do his round. And then as long as I think you get a week or whatever, and then you do your round, and then when you're playing, you can see your friend playing at the same time, so it's like you're playing together, but obviously you're not. So it's like a ghost.
That's really good. That.
Yeah, so I thought that was quite a neat little, and you can make your own character, so that's always fun to make your own.
Now, are you somebody who makes sensible characters, or characters like yourself, or do you? Like me, just go all out and do stupid ones.
Yeah, a bit of both. Sometimes I do make myself, but it depends on the game. I probably will make a funny character for this one, but like UFC, for example, when I play those games, I'll make a celebrity just because the thought of like Ross Kemp having a run for the UFC light heavyweight championship is amusing to me. So I'm like, well, let's see how he gets on, and then obviously you're controlling him, and
so if you've ever played absolutely destroys him. Yeah, I wasn't really a fan, to be honest. I mean, there's a UFC 4 now, I think. There's 4 of them. There's at least definitely 3. There might be a 4, I don't know. But no, I tried them. I just couldn't get along with it personally. I could see that fans of UFC would like it, kind of thing. But if I was to go for a fighting game, I'd probably go for the traditional 2D or the semi 3D. Your Soul Caliburs, your Street Fighters, Tekkens, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I've never really been very very good at like the boxing games or UFC games or wrestling games.
I mean, I haven't played one for a while, but I do. I enjoy them. Yeah, but I am quite a big UFC fan, so it's quite enjoyable, like building your character, and then. But you do have to get the difficulty right because I like it because I want my guy to be like a machine and just walk in and knock everybody out. But it does get a bit boring because like you're within like 20 seconds, they're like already sort of on the floor. But so
blood pouring everywhere.
Exactly, yeah. So it's definitely more fun to play with friends because we both have like similar abilities and watching each other. but then yes, it's good when you play someone who hasn't played it, because they go all out and then their stamina. So after like about a minute, their guys like barely can swing a punch, and then you're there just like kicking them in the head, and they can't really like defend themselves anymore because they're just so tired. It's not like Mortal Kombat where you can just tap square and your character just throws punches for like. Not exactly. Yeah, you got it. There's some strategy to it, but there's strategy to beat 'em up games, aren't there? Like Tekken and Mortal Kombat, all of them. They're
Yeah, back in my younger days, I used to be able to learn characters' moves and strategies and get used to it by playing for a lot of hours. But nowadays, I've turned into more of a button basher with a lot of history of playing these games. So yeah, I will try movements that I know are in general, like up and left and kick kind of thing, and down and right and punch kind of thing. These quarter circle and all these kind of moves, or in your Tekken, you got your pressing two buttons and a direction, or left punch, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so, Brian's Death Punch or something like that. But yeah. I played Tekken 2 the other week, actually. I was around my friend's house because he's got PlayStation Plus Premium, which gives you access to
the PS1 games.
Yeah. So Tekken 2, and we played it, and it was really difficult. You forget how hard it was. We did complete it actually once. We completed it with, I think it was Brian, actually, was the one we completed. And they give a little, after you complete with the character, you watch a little video of their ending. Brian's on a motorbike.
Yes, the endings were always either completely crazy or just, you're like, really, is that it?
It was pretty short.
Mostly crazy.
For how much time we put into it. And then I think you win a character as well. I can't remember who we won. I think it was... I don't know. I have to check. Okay, it was only the other week, so my memory's that bad. But yeah, it might have been like the kangaroo. Oh no, it was the bear. We won a bear.
Oh, Kuma.
Yeah, I think it was Kuma that we won on it. So I don't know. Depending on the character you win, do you win a different? Because we couldn't do another different character. So but yeah.
Tekken was good. I think Tekken 3 and tag tournaments were probably my favourite. Back when again I could learn all the parts, all the moves, all the strategies. But then me and my friends, we moved on to the Soul Calibur series.
I did like Tekken Tag on PlayStation 2. That was did you ever get the bowling game on it?
Yes, yeah.
You had 10-pin bowling, didn't you? So
trying to get a perfect game was just frustrating, because you'd get right to the end and you'd be like, yeah, I'm on 210 or whatever, and all I'm going to do is get one more perfect strike, and then the one pin would stand.
Me and my friend used to play it. So he used to do the first bowl, and I used to do the second bowl. So we never got a perfect game, which is good for me, because that means I would have never got a go. But he was like Harangue, and I was Jack, because Jack, you could have
the laser,
the aimer.
didn't they?
Yeah. So it was pretty. I would always pick off the spares, because you could aim it down. But good game. Anyway.
Well, back to modern gaming.
Did you see Gamescom? They had their awards, didn't you? Did you have a look at that in terms of?
They had awards, did they? Oh no, I didn't see the awards. What?
Yeah, Gamescom 2023. So they had best trailer / announcement. That went to Little Nightmares 3.
Okay. Have you played either of them two? The first two?
No.
I played the first one, and it is weird how it's creepy, but yeah, it's very good sort of platformer puzzle, with very creepy characters in the background, and enjoyable, very enjoyable games. If you can pick, I think both of them are quite cheap, and
some of these games on
their
awards haven't even been released. So best Microsoft Xbox game went to Mortal Kombat 1. which I don't even think has been released, is it?
I think it's releasing soon-ish, so they probably had it at Gamescom to play. So
Best Nintendo Switch game. Do you reckon you could guess that one, Duncan?
would it by any chance be one that's been released in the last few months?
It has, yeah.
Is it
Definitely has been
Is it
released.
Tears of the Kingdom?
It is Tears of the Kingdom. Best PlayStation game, actually. Tekken 8 they put as the best PlayStation game. So
which PlayStation game won?
Tekken 8.
Oh, well, blimey, I don't think that's out for a while, is it? They must have had that to
No,
play at Gamescom as well, I presume.
I won't go through all of them, but best gameplay, Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Best audio, Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Most entertainment, or most entertaining, Payday 3, which I haven't played either.
No, you won't have played that because that's not out yet.
Okay.
But
I
it
know,
is coming, I think, to Game Pass day one, I want to say, or maybe I'm.
Yeah.
But it hasn't come out yet. But Payday 2, I own on, I think, on 360, and then I own the Xbox One version, and I own it on PC as well. So great game if with friends. Great game with friends, and very enjoyable to mess around or just be really serious about it. But generally, good fun.
Most wholesome, Pikmin 4. I know you're going through the Pikmins at the moment. So,
I am, still
slogging
through Pikmin 2.
Nice wholesome game to come. The last one I'll just share with you is Gamescom Green Studio of the Year Xbox. So I'm assuming by Green Studio it must mean
not literally that they have everything green. Oh
yeah,
my god, look,
they will win
they're
every
really
year.
literally green. We've got to have them as the greenest studio.
Yeah, exactly. They
have in the last year, I think, released a lot of updates that mean people will use less electricity and whatnot. I can't imagine it's just because of that they won, but yeah, that's one thing that's helped people save money and save the planet as well. So
people, if they keep producing good games, people will stay in their house, won't use their cars.
Indeed.
But then they will be using energy.
Well, I think
unless they can bring an Xbox out or solar panel on it or something.
Yeah, if we go on to news that's happened, there was the news. It's only just come out today, I think, or tonight maybe, is that Volition Games has been shut down. Which, although it's very sad thinking of it, because they released all the Saints Row games, Free Space, Descent, Red Faction, those games. But as we were talking earlier, their last two games have been the Saints Row reboot and Agents of Mayhem, which both have been a little bit soulless action games that haven't really struck a chord with anybody. So with their history, it's very sad news. But I think that probably since Agents of Mayhem was 2017, it's been coming. It's been a long time coming, unfortunately, but yeah, such is life.
Yeah, I guess it's difficult for game developers out there, studios, because if you a couple bad games, it's hard to recover. I know with the Golem game, like that, the Daedalic or whatever I think they are, they just aren't making games anymore, are they? And that's after one absolute terrible game. I can't say it's terrible. I never played it, but just assuming it is.
Yeah, I mean, with things like Volition, I don't know, but what people got to remember is that all it takes is for, I don't know, let's say the programming lead. If you've got a programming lead that leaves, then you're going to have a completely different person in charge of all the programming. If you have a story lead that leaves to go to another company, then a game that had a really good story, their next game might not have as good a story if they can't find somebody as strong as the person they had before. And obviously, with things like Bethesda, you've got Todd Howard at the helm, which I don't think he'd take all the credit, but at the same time, he's a consistency. But a lot of these Volition, I can imagine, since was it Saints Row, Gat Out of Hell, released in 2015, but Saints Row 4 was the last main one that was pretty well received. That was 10 years ago. And so they've probably had a lot of staff leave, go to other companies, start their own companies, and they just haven't been able to quite hit the same high notes. So
I'm just looking at them now. They were founded back in 1993, which they've
yes, they were Parallax Software.
Creating games Summoner or the Descent series, Summoner, Red Faction, and Saints Row. So a few big
games
ones there. Series, Red Faction. I like that game.
Yeah,
well,
destroy the whole world kind of thing. Is it really, really good destruction mechanics?
Yeah. Well, goodbye.
So speaking of Bethesda, so which would you say is your favourite game of all of their? Now we're having a chat about this, weren't we? Whether it's developed games or just published games, because they published probably 100 games, maybe more. But so I think we were going to go with developed games, weren't we?
Yeah, so the ones that have come from Bethesda Game Studio. So for me, would be Fallout 4. So probably would have been Fallout 4 regardless if we were going with the producer, just because one of my favorite games. My favorite Fallout game. I know a lot of people like Fallout New Vegas, but it was.
But then I said we can't use Fallout New Vegas because that was developed by Obsidian, who also are owned by Microsoft now, but are a separate studio who were just employed by Bethesda to make another version of Fallout. So if we're going to stick with it, I'm torn between Fallout 3 and Skyrim. Ooh.
Yeah, I think Skyrim's a close second for me, but
I mean, obviously, I say grew up as an adult. I started playing Oblivion and Morrowind. Morrowind, I never really got into. I know a lot of people say it's really good and it's a lot more open and whatnot, but just I think as I can't have New Vegas, I think I'd go for Skyrim. I think I've also, that's the one that I've probably modded the most and had the most fun with mods. And that again is how old? 10 years old? 12 years old. Blimey. 12 years old Skyrim is.
And they're still
slogging it.
Yeah, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One.
Oh yes, well, I'm sure in a few years we'll get the 15-year anniversary version. That'll be a whole new a new £30 or £40 edition. Or an upgrade for another £20 if you already own the 4 different versions they've had before. Although I've got to say, I do own on PC, on Steam. I think I have bought Skyrim, and then they did the special edition, and then they did the anniversary edition. I think I've upgraded to each version, although not for full price. I think I've waited till they're discounted the upgrades.
Original release, Legendary Edition, Special Edition, Skyrim VR, Nintendo Switch version, Very Special Edition, Anniversary Edition, Anniversary Edition Nintendo Switch, Anniversary Edition GOG version. And I mean, I make a joke of it, but like you, I do find myself playing it again because I think it came available on PlayStation Plus, and I was like, oh, downloaded it. Back on that trailer at the start of the game to get in get beheaded, and then a dragon comes down, and then you all start again, and then like it's like deja vu, isn't it? But yeah, I mean,
Indeed.
it's see they'll keep doing it because people until the next one comes out. But obviously they've only just released Starfield, so I can't see the new Skyrim coming out anytime soon. Maybe not even on this generation of consoles.
Now, if we go for worst game, then, because now technically, obviously, you've got Elder Scrolls. Skyrim is Elder Scrolls 5. So you've got 5 of those. You've got the Fallouts 3 and 4, but they have released. I mean, technically, they've released the original Elder Scrolls were on DOS, I think. But then they've also released a load of DOS games back in the 90s and 80s. But I think of any game that you played, is there any that you would say you don't like? Is there any?
I mean, I don't know if there is that many. Like, I don't know. I mean, like Fallout 76, but even that I didn't think was that bad. I think it got worse reviews than. I know it was like pretty
You
buggy
didn't
and
hate
people
it.
didn't like that. I didn't hate it, and I know people didn't like that. It was all online, and they sort of took away like the story like you would get with the other Fallout games, and they didn't have NPCs. Did they? I don't know if they changed it, but initially it
I
didn't
think
have
that
NPCs.
they did change that, but yeah, not having the story did. I think I played it twice with a friend, and one of those times was with a friend, and even then they had a lot of stuff and they were building things, and I was like, I've got nothing, and I can't build anything, or I've got to go and do this and
Yeah,
that and whatever. And I'm like, nah, I might as well just go back and play Fallout 4.
yeah. I played it with Fallout 4. I had like my own base and everything like that, and I sort of put a lot of time in it. Fallout 76, I played it with friends as well, and they built like a base on a golf course. They found a golf course, and they had like a really nice sort of setup. And I was sort of living in a shed, asking them if they had any like dog food that I could borrow because I was
Oh,
desperate
nice.
for food. But and then I went to someone's
What about in
house,
the
and then
game?
I started getting shot at. Yeah. yeah. My begging people for dog food in real life, but yeah, I went to someone's house and I started getting shot at, and it's but no, it's not terrible, but out the ones that I've played, probably the worst one. But that it's probably a testament of Bethesda because but I haven't played a lot of they're like ones from the 90s and 80s. So
No,
there
they were generally. There was a lot of drag racing. I think there was a Terminator game in there, but they were all DOS games that probably most people wouldn't remember. And then the early Elder Scrolls, which were, the sort of the one where you click to go forward, so that you couldn't actually move forward, kind of thing. I think you click to go forward, click to go east, and click to go west, and whatnot. So no, they're not memorable. But I think you can get the early Elder Scrolls. I think they're not abandonware so much, but I think you can almost play them on browsers. I'm sure I remember that. But yeah, no, they're nowhere near as good as the nowadays the big expansive things like Starfield. Hey. Still so
I'm
excited
just
about
looking at
that.
their list here because it starts in 2002, which was Morrowind. On my list anyway, and then but randomly they did 2 drag racing games, and then they started doing like more Elder Scrolls and Fallout. And I'm just looking at the drag racing games, and the reviews are pretty terrible. But yeah, 2.3 out of 10, 3 out of 10,
Well,
2 out
their
of 5,
first
3.4 out
game
of 10.
was Gridiron with an exclamation mark on the Amiga and Atari ST in 1986. Then they've had Hockey. There was Vortex. I'm sure I remember that. or remember seeing something about it. It's one of their first games. But yeah, so nothing. Wayne Gretzky Hockey 2 and Wayne Gretzky Hockey. The Terminator was MS-DOS, July 1991. Oh, I'm just looking at a screenshot of it, and it's a very, very, very basic 3D shooter by the looks of it. But yeah, so of their games that people would know of, I think I'm with you on the worst one. I think Fallout 76 is probably where it's at. Really, it wasn't accepted well. People didn't want online like they did it. People wanted Fallout 4, but online. And what they got was a world, a Bethesda world, like a Bethesda map that you could shoot things on with friends. And that's not what people wanted. People wanted the rich story, the interacting with NPCs, but with a friend in the background.
So this time, next week or when we do our next one, your choice might change. It might be Starfield.
Yes, it might be my best. It might be my worst, but we'll see. I doubt it'll be my worst. I do tend to just like things, really.
Yeah, you're getting to an age now where you're like, oh, I quite like that.
Yes.
Maybe
yes,
I don't know.
Definitely.
Maybe all games are just better now. Or we're just playing better games. We're avoiding the ones that aren't.
Well,
So good.
people say about things like Bethesda games have a lot of bugs, and yes, they do, because there's a lot in it. You know, just getting things to work together, getting all the different things in a game that you can get to work together. You know, from having your companions not working well with the story part, and not blocking you from exiting a door, kind of thing. Just simple things like that. To just the fact that you might accidentally kill somebody who is part of a story, so you have to have. Oh, yeah, it's just there's so much in a game nowadays that there's always going to be a bug, but hopefully this one they've Starfield the reviews have
Limited
said
bugs.
reviews have said that it's for Bethesda quite good. And Digital Foundry, I think, who obviously are looking for bugs and whatnot, they've said it's a really good programming or whatever. Hardly any crashes. So what have we got on this day then?
Yeah, just wrap up and then have a look at this day, because I know there have been some
classics,
really
isn't there?
big games. Yeah, I don't know if you've got it in front of you.
I have.
If you want to share any with us?
Well, I mean, the one that sticks out for me, that because I played, was Crash Bandicoot. Was this week on this day, August 31st, 27 flipping years ago. My goodness, 27 years, and it's still going. I mean, they've got some Crash Bandicoot Boom or something coming out. Although I played the demo of it or the beta, and it didn't like it.
Got the that multiplayer game as well, didn't they?
That's the one.
Crash Team Rumble.
Oh yes, that was.
That
Yeah,
was
I can't
out
remember. Well, this is a multiplayer game they got coming out now, and it's a free to play thing. And I can't see me or anybody particularly playing it for that long. But
yeah.
27 years ago.
I remember. I love that. Yeah, I do. I like just the normal Crash games. I haven't tried Crash Team Rumbles, but Crash Bandicoot 4.
Crash Team Racing was good, but Crash Bandicoot, the original one, is always going to be the original goodie. What else we had? Tony Hawk's 1. The first one came out 24 years ago, and on the same day, Dino Crisis, which, for those that don't know, was like Resident Evil but with dinosaurs. Do I need to say any more? I mean, it was pretty good. It was pretty good Resident Evil game, but with dinosaurs. So
And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, that's like one of the highest rated games of all time, isn't it?
yeah. The first and second ones were for me the best ones. I think some people like 3 or Underground, but for me it's always the number 1, number 2. They were fantastic. Me and my friends spent a lot of hours getting all the. You had to unlock everything to unlock various other things. I can't remember what you unlocked. But
you had to like grind for a certain amount of time or get a certain score on. Like,
yes, and you had to do. You had to get certain things, like you had to get skate, the letters that were dotted around, which generally, especially in the later levels, you couldn't make a single mistake. You had to go straight to one, straight to the other, straight to the next one, straight to the next one, straight to E, and get them all like ASAP, because the time would just go. What else we got? But then I think this week, 31 years ago, 31 years, blimey, Mario Kart came out. Wow. Which is one of the all-time big ones.
Yeah, I mean, Mario Kart 8, which is the latest one. If you want to talk about milking a game, that's what you're talking about. I mean, that came out on the Wii U, and it's still, if you look in like any charts, it still makes the top 10. Obviously not the Wii U version, but the Switch version, it's still sort of in the top 10.
Yeah, it's as soon as anybody says I'm getting a Switch, there will always be a loud shout for people to go get Mario Kart. And it's so well done. It is really good in terms of.
You can't really have a bad, like if you've got friends around, you can't really have a bad experience on it. Obviously, if you're a competitor and you're losing, you might have a bad experience, which tends to be happens.
Blue shells.
You enjoy the. You can't really go wrong with it. You know what you're going to get, and instead, I think the longevity of Mario Kart 8 is because they just keep releasing DLCs for it, so they keep releasing new tracks rather than just creating a new game. They just new track, new characters. So yeah, it's they constantly sort of re-release but yeah, the original Mario Kart 8 came out in 2014, so 9 years ago, and it's still in like the top 10 charts.
Well, they've tried things like was it Double Dash, where you had two riders and whatnot.
On the GameCube,
and in the end, I think they've just realised with Mario Kart 8, just keep it simple, keep it like you said, release old tracks but updated for the new engine, and it plays really well. It's got lots of tracks. And it's got online.
I think if you're gonna play it with a friend, so if you play in Double Dash, you probably just want to play against them rather than with them. That's why. But I like Double Dash as well. I guess if there was 4 friends there, then you could do 2 against 2. But then you probably just want 4 against 4 again. But who knows? There might be people who quite like the co-op side to it. But.
Cool. Right. Well, I think it's nearly 11 o'clock here. So technically, I've only got 2 hours until I can play Starfield. If I want to stay up, I am not going to stay up. But I will keep people up to date a little bit of maybe post my person who I create onto our Facebook or whatever. And
what are you going to go with? A serious one, or are you going to?
It's so hard because
like a game like that.
I've got a sort of serious one with Baldur's Gate. I mean, he has got pink hair, but he's also very handsome, actually, my guy. And the person, I can't remember what they call them, but the other person you have to design I've gone with a female who is quite good looking, but So I didn't. But the thing is, with that, I thought I'm going to be with these characters for probably a couple of 100 hours, so I don't want to look at some crazy looking thing. But equally, nowadays they don't. You used to be able to put extremes onto the sliders, and people's like they'd have their nose going inside, and their ears would come out like this,
eyes,
huge.
like on the side of the head.
Yeah, exactly. But nowadays
Massive eyeballs.
they're programmed a bit better nowadays, and they don't tend to do that. So it's not as good as it used to be making crazy ones. But things like the wrestling games, they're always good for making crazy characters.
Yeah, you change the color of skin and stuff. So you can have them red and
Yeah,
green or whatever. So,
and you can have them with their pecs out here kind of thing, but then itty bitty thin arms and all stupid things like that. So, but yeah, I shall have a look at the character creation, and we'll see if we have crazy or handsome. Which obviously, looking at this, nothing like me either way.
Hard to replicate, isn't it, Duncan? So I look forward to catching up when you have played it properly. You can give your review. I know, obviously, when we do catch up, you probably wouldn't have been playing it long enough to give a proper review, but I'm sure you would have been able to have some sort of opinion on it on the initial stages, like on the combat and stuff like that. And
yeah, right.
Looking forward.
Yeah. Well, that's
an hour
podcast.
Yeah, we always do these podcasts not knowing really what we're going to speak about, and then
just
easily get to it. Yeah, exactly. But I guess when you're talking about gaming and you both really like gaming, that's what's going to happen. So,
indeed, and we've got such a big thing with Starfield coming out. I sort of guessed that this would probably be a long one. So, right, well, that's episode 8. Did we decide? Yes, 8.
I think that's what we decided. Yeah, episode 8. Hopefully it is. Otherwise, it would be a bit embarrassing when you got to put episode 7 up, or whatever. Or episode 9. But.
Right.
Anyway, Duncan, I will see you next week.
Yes.
And, enjoy Starfield, and I look forward to seeing any updates. I look forward to catching up properly next week. Like and subscribe. All that. And goodbye.
Bye.